Ray, welcome inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm feeling a little bit crazy.
All right, that's what we love.
Friday night.
Yes. Oh, boy, are we excited to talk to you. Okay, I got to say, we finished the book, gave it the full read, watched a little short film on the website. Yes. I've got to tell you, okay, now here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to do my little elevator pitch, okay? I'm going to go Ghost Whisperer meets Knives Out meets Cujo. Huh?
That is brilliant. Stop the presses.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Oh man, look, I loved it. The whole, whodunit aspect to it, and then mixing in the supernatural element to it. We loved it, and we're gonna get all into that. But what we like to do first is kind of do a little introduction to all the listeners who may not be familiar with who you are, and just kind of talk about how you got started in the industry and things like that. So, was it something that you knew you always wanted to do, write and produce and direct in the film and television industry, or how did you kind of come about that?
I was very lucky. I always knew from a very young age this is what I wanted to do. Like 12. And I used to think I wanted to be an actor. Because I thought the actors did it all. That's how I experienced, movies and TV through the actors. I just thought they just got up there and did it. And when I started making little movies, I had an uncle gave me this old 8mm camera.
Yes.
When I started making films like that, I started to realize that there's a consciousness behind the camera, and it's not just the actors. And so, luckily for the world, I gave up on the acting idea. And, just focused on writing and directing. And I think I was very lucky also in that I never really knew how hard it would be to do this. I grew up in Brooklyn. My father was an iron worker. My mother worked for the city. I had no connection to Hollywood any way, shape, or form.
Right.
So, I just had this kind of naive thought that I'm going to be able to do this. And so, if someone had said to me, well, John, it'll be like 15 years of starving before you get your first job, maybe I would have done something else. I would have gotten a good humor truck or something. I don't know. But I always felt like tomorrow's the day. I'm going to make it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I just kept working really hard at it and eventually was able to find an agent and always made movies. It was an important thing. I just always found a way to make a movie.
Right.
8mm, 16mm. This is way before digital, of course. Because I'm over 35. This may come as a shock to you.
Me too. Sure. Don't worry about it. Yeah. That's why I got excited with 8mm, man. I'm old school. I'm all about film, man.
Yeah. So, anyway, it's there's not enough time on this podcast or any other podcast to talk about how exactly I got started. But suffice to say, cut to many years later, I wrote a script that I was trying to get an actor to agree to be in.
Yeah.
And that actor's agent really liked the script and signed me as a
there
writer.
you go.
And I said, but yes, I'm really a director. And he said, of course you are. But let's start as a writer. And, I just it just went from there.
That's right. Oh my God. But that's amazing though. One, for all of our listeners, because we have a whole bunch of listeners on this podcast that are up and comers and trying to get into the industry. And it's always so much valuable advice from our guests. And it's right off the gate. You knew at 12. And, years and years and years later, that says determination. If it's what you want to do, if it's your passion, you just hang in there and you go for it no matter what, regardless, right? You're starving, but you're going to hang in there. So that's very important for anybody trying to break in to understand it doesn't happen overnight, and you're going to have to stick with it, and you're going to have to make sure it's what you want to do because it's going to be a struggle,
Yeah, it is. It's difficult, and there's, a ton of rejection.
Oh, sure.
So if you ever get to a point where you feel like you can't take the rejection or you can't work this hard, it's not for you.
That's it.
But if you just stick with it and always work hard and always be thinking, how can I get ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually the other people out there start to drop away, and it becomes a little thinner. The herd thins, and the competition gets a little bit thinner, and you can break through.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, something that we've been advocating a lot recently on the podcast and talking mostly about is mental health. And this industry is full of, we don't like to say rejection, but kind of selection in a sense to where you might not be right for what people are particularly looking for in that period of time. So how do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep yourself going on the track that you might get a million no's and one yes?
Well, the first thing is to remember that it only takes one yes.
That's right.
Like that's just something I always keep in mind. And when I've had no said to me many, many times. I continue to. And whenever as a young person getting started, when someone would say no to me, it just made me more determined. I would just say, I wouldn't feel defeated or want to slink away. I would feel like you're wrong.
Yes.
And I'm right, and I'm going to prove that to you someday, to myself.
Yep.
Outside, I said sorry, thanks, goodbye.
Right.
I think you have to have kind of an unwavering belief in yourself, and that's always hard in our business because I think if you have any kind of artistic bent at all, built into that is feelings of am I a fraud? Am I really talented? So for most of us, it's hard to embrace or conjure that confidence. Because it's not always really there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if you just kind of think as if and try to move through the world that way, it's a big help. And the other thing I always tell young people, because we talk to my wife and I. My wife is Melissa Peltier's brilliant writer and director in her own right, and a novelist and a documentarian, and we produce short films together.
Yes.
And we love to go to film festivals and we talk to young people and we do panels and. And I always say that you have a movie studio now in your pocket.
Yep.
And there's no excuse not to go out there and make your movie.
That's right.
Story. And that's really what it comes down to is just don't let anything stop you from making your film.
Well, and you bring up your wife, and that's the other part of it too, right? A strong support system. You've got to have those people in your circle that are understanding and know, yeah, this is tough, and there's going to be some times, but together we're going to get through it, and they're going to support you. They're not going to be those ones. Oh, you're so crazy. Get a real job. I mean, can't tell you how many times we've heard that before. Get a real job, but you need that support. Yeah. But that support circle is crucial as well, right? You need that as well to let people know that, hey, I can do this and you believe in me and therefore I believe in me and I can go out there and get it done, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, my mother, God bless her, she was, she herself was a daughter of a policeman, very rarely left Brooklyn her whole life, really. Just a big-hearted person full of love, but she didn't really understand anything about the film business, what it means that you want to make a film, a producer, director, what is that?
Right.
But she always made me feel like if I wanted to do it, I could do it. And, she once for Christmas gave me a Super 8 camera, which was head and shoulders over an 8mm.
Oh, camera. Yeah. Heck yeah.
And, she bought it on time. She had to pay it off in installments,
Yeah.
But it's that kind of belief that can just blow your mind.
Oh yeah,
and it's really important.
Well, kudos, Mom. That's very good. I love that.
Yes, seriously. Well, something that I have definitely been binge watching recently, definitely to get prepared for the interview. But honestly, before he told me that you were coming on the show, it was something that honestly just kind of fell into my life. I had never really watched your show before, Ghost Whisperer, but now I'm like super involved, super in love, trying to catch up through all of the seasons. My fiance and I have been binge watching it together. So was that like your baby, or how many like carnations did that go through before it saw the light of day? Because for all the upcoming writers and showrunners trying to break into it, it takes a lot of time and a lot of revisions before it actually sees the television screen.
It does. I mean, there is a lot. I mean, Ghost Whisperer was a sort of a charmed project in a way.
Yeah.
But it came out of the relationship that I had with CBS. And I had made many, many movies for them.
Right.
And, the first movie I got for them was very difficult to get because, I was untested as a director. I was young. I was still in my 20s. And finally, they liked my writing a lot. And I was approached by CBS, and this is way before Ghost Whisperer, but I was approached by CBS with a script that was in trouble. They just, they want to make the movie, but they just didn't like the script. And they said, would you consider rewriting the script? Because it needs like a total rewrite. And I read it and I realized, yeah, I know how to do this. I can do this. But I said, they got to let me direct it or I don't want to do it. And so my agent was able to leverage that and say, he really, he's excited about the script. He knows exactly how to rewrite this and do it, but he's got to direct it. And, it wasn't like immediate yes. It was like, I had to think about that. I had to talk it over inside. It took a lot of elbowing and begging,
Sure.
But they finally said yes. And so that's how I began this relationship with CBS. It went on for many, many years, and I made quite a few movies for them. And there was a great executive there named Bella Bajaria, who I dealt with on the movie side. And she called me one day and said, we just met this really fascinating woman who can clear your house of ghosts. Because she sees ghosts who haven't crossed over, who are earthbound, stuck here.
Right.
And she said, I just think there might be a series in this. Do you want to, meet her? And I had no interest in doing series. I was very happy in my movie world. I thought a series, it's going to be the same characters all the time, same locations. That sounds boring. But I was so interested to meet this woman. And I guess James Van Praagh, who I'm sure you've heard of, he had a relationship with CBS, and he introduced this woman to the executives there. And so I met with Marianne. We both happened to be in LA at the time, and I live in New York. And we met at this Starbucks, and I was looking for some ethereal kind of like, wispy sort of, I didn't know what to expect. But instead, there's this like completely normal, down-to-earth, salt of the earth, wonderful Midwestern woman with her husband, who's an ex-Marine, buzz cut and tattoos.
Yeah.
Not like the ghost hunting people you're expecting. And I sat and talked with her, and I just fell in love. She was just so wonderful and warm and completely down to earth about what she can do. And her thing was that she can see ghosts who are earthbound, and she can convince them to cross over, and she can create the light for them to go into and cross over. And so one of the things I asked her was, do you see ghosts all the time? Is this something that just happens? And she said, yes, they're around me all the time. She said, sometimes I try not to let them know I can see them so they don't bother me, because otherwise they want something.
Yeah.
So I said, well, how about this Starbucks right now? Oh, there's 3 ghosts here right now. Wow.
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
She's showing me there's a guy over here. I think it's probably his mother. She's looking over his shoulder. She doesn't look like she's very happy. And someone else, this might have been his brother. And so that scene ended up in the pilot.
Yeah.
And so I walked away from that meeting just thinking, wow, this could be, I've always loved horror. I love gothic horror. I love ghost stories. And I've always loved character-driven drama. And so I thought, this may be my chance to meld all that and have some fun. So I said, yeah, I want to do this. And so we made a deal to write a pilot. And I'd never written a pilot. I thought this would be interesting. But they'll never make it, of course. But, I'll write the pilot, learn something. And so, I write the pilot, and it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to make the pilot. Oh, okay, great. Well, I've never directed a pilot. This will be fun. So I direct the pilot, and they'll never make a series out of it. I'll be free after the pilot.
Right. Network will never pick it up. It's fine.
Yeah. And they said, well, let's do 13. And I was like, oh my God, I got to do this 13 more times. And so we did the 13. Then they said, let's do 9 more. And then before you know it, we're on the air for 5 years.
Yeah, and was a huge hit. I mean, I felt like there for a long time it was the show everybody wanted to guest star on. Everybody wanted to be on that show, and so many people went through that show. It's unreal when you look back and you're binging the seasons. You're like, holy crap, they were on it. This was on. That was on it. It was like, it was amazing. So
we had great luck with guest casts.
Yeah.
Not to like blow our own horn, but I think the reason was because we were able to really write really rich, interesting characters who were dealing with things that everyone recognizes, loss and grief.
Oh, sure.
And redemption. And so the guest cast, it wasn't just some, surface kind of superficial thing. So a lot of actors were eager to come on and have a chance to do something to get their teeth into it.
Absolutely. Now, was Jennifer Love Hewitt all you? Were you like, this is who I want? Were you involved in that casting process, or did they?
Yes.
Yeah.
We definitely wanted her from the beginning. But at first, she was attached to another show that hadn't gotten a green light yet. They were still waiting.
Right.
So we were, of course, rooting for failure.
Right.
Get her, and we did. She and it's funny because we initially conceived the show as someone who's a bit older, and we would join them already in their lives. But when the idea of Jennifer came up, then we started thinking, well, what if this is somebody who's just starting out in their lives?
Yeah.
About to get married, and so we were very fortunate that her other deal fell through, and she was able to join our show.
Yeah, because I mean, can you even imagine Melinda being anybody else at this point? It's
No.
like, no way. She was just unbelievable. The whole cast, by the way, was phenomenal. It was just well done, and glad it's still around that everybody can watch it. Because, like I said, still people are finding it every day. Yeah, so obviously you liked the genre. Obviously you liked people that could see ghosts and everything. So now let's talk about it because I'm super excited to talk about this. You're a novel writer, so now you're jumping into the novel game, right? And you're getting into it. And the Desecrated, holy cow! It's gripping right from the get go. That opening sequence that sets it all up. You're just like, whoa, what is going on here? Yeah, and then just boom, jumps to modern day, and you're right into it. So talk about the inspiration for it, because there's little things. The whole time I was reading it, it's like, oh, her name's Jennifer. That's cute, Jennifer Love Hewitt, and the ex-boyfriend's Jim. Okay, that's all little things I was thinking. It's like, was that intentional? Was that not intentional? I don't know. But talk about the inspiration for the book.
Well, oddly enough, you'll laugh, but I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I read a story about how Lindsay Lohan had gotten another, some sort of, I don't know, it was a DUI, it was some, problem. And she was sentenced to community service at the LA County morgue. And I just thought that was crazy. Like, whose idea was that? It's like a soup kitchen, a thrift shop, but, a morgue.
Right.
But it was true, and she did 53 days of community service at the LA County morgue. And it just started me thinking about what would that be like for the people who work there, and how could that be? And so for years and years, I've been kind of just always coming back to that idea, and is there any way to do that? And then ultimately, it made more sense to kind of reverse the genders and make it about a woman who's kind of lost in her life, working at this morgue, kind of marking time and trying to figure out what her next move is, grieving the death of her father. And then this kind of, alpha mega action movie star, Trevor Price, English.
Yes.
He's the one who gets assigned to her morgue, and makes for instant conflict and the instant problems.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And yeah, so you said it, like the grieving of the dad. And so there were so many intricate details in this, not just that she had lost her mom and she was going through some stuff. She was like, hey, every time I'm getting angry, every time I'm getting upset, some shit's happening. What's going on? Am I crazy? And so I just thought it was really well written, the way, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but the way that the relationship between daughter and dad flipped, it went to where at the end when he's, saying basically the same thing to her that she had said to him, please don't send me, please don't do this. I thought that was brilliantly done. And I love how that plays through the whole arc of the story all the way. And I just thought that was fantastic.
Well, thanks. I mean, obviously, everyone, their relationship with their parents reverberates throughout their lives, no matter what. And, I saw my wife go through it with her dad, where the roles became completely reversed. And, he became really dependent on her for care. My brother and I had the same thing, with our mother. And it's just like the circle of life, I guess,
Yeah.
But it's always fun to think about, well, maybe not fun, but interesting to think about how that kind of thing resonates throughout your life and affects your choices and affects your the lens to which you look at your world.
Indeed.
Completely agree. I think it's a good representation of, and I know some people don't believe in it, but karma. Maybe you're doing some shady stuff, like it can come back and bite you in the ass. So,
Right.
you gotta make sure to stay on the right track and to, not get caught up into something that you might accidentally fall into, if that makes sense. Be sure to, it's always a good representation of, you are who you hang out with and who you associate yourself with. So as long as you stay on the straight and narrow and try to surround yourself with people who you can learn and grow from, you won't end up in a bad place, either getting haunted or in trouble with the legal law enforcement or anything like that. And I thought it was very, as a younger person, and as I guess I'm a millennial. They keep changing the years. Who knows? But I felt like your writing was just very entertaining for me, and I feel like that's saying a lot coming from the younger generation, who I feel like gets bored very easily because of the social media generation. But I mean, I just felt like I couldn't put this down. So that's kudos to you, man. Your writing is impeccable, and I'm just gonna wait for the next one now.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's high praise.
Of course.
I like to try to inject humor, in characters.
Yeah,
and just try to
definitely.
make everybody as three-dimensional, as possible.
Right.
And,
Well, and that theme, the theme that Logan brought up, though, about, you are who you're surrounded with. Basically, this whole, and again, I don't want to give so much away because I want people to read the book, but this whole kind of thing that happens, right? It's a circumstance. Somebody meets somebody, and they are, because of what happened to them, now they're hanging with this person who's doing some stuff, and it's like, hey, can I do this stuff? And I love how it's just all, well, if this person and this person and this person, and then all of a sudden it's steamrolling, and you're caught in it, and you don't know, and you just go with it. And I like how the fact that throughout the entire novel, it's everybody is aware of, you don't want her falling into it. She's the only good person. She's the only person that we can't have in here. We can't do this. And as crazy as the rest of the crew was, they were still very protective of that at first. To try to make sure she was not involved in it, and which was really good. One of my favorite, though, aspects of the whole story is the relationship between her and Ulysses in the graveyard, and just that and the closure there. Man, the ending was brilliant with both Trevor and I totally was like, she'd never buy it, but she will that way, and I loved that. But that relationship, here's this woman who's just like, for what, got all this stuff going on in her life, and she's dealing with all this stuff, and she's thinking, yet she's taking the time to buy this guy hot dogs every day and feed this man and take care of him medically, because that's who she is.
Exactly who she is, and also it kind of calls back to her own frustration and not being able to save her dad.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
And that's really what kind of motivated her initially to try to study medicine. She wants to help people, having lost her mom very young. So she is kind of very attracted towards helping people, and Ulysses is sort of helpless in some ways. He's a little bit crazy, but he's still kind of smart.
Yes.
Like the old joke, just because I'm crazy doesn't mean I'm dumb.
Right.
And for Jennifer, just because I'm pretty doesn't mean I'm dumb. And she reversed that. She said, hey, what do you think? You think I don't deal with that every day? I'm a good looking woman, and I get like I'm stupid, like I'm a bimbo. Right. So she had that as well. So let's bring in, though.
The fun thing about that, too, if I may, is
for sure.
Trevor embraces the fact that
his
looks he can just skate on his looks, and he's never expected to do anything except look good.
Right.
That's right.
Jennifer hates it.
Yeah, no, totally. So let's bring in the supernatural aspect to it, right? Because, like I said, whenever she was getting upset, some stuff was happening, and she can see some spirits, some ghosts, and stuff is going on. So, and it's all stemming from this amulet, this Egyptian, protection amulet that. So talk about that a little bit. Where did that come from? Did you always know that this was going to be the guiding force through the whole thing, or did you do some research and go, oh, that might be pretty cool to throw into this? How did that come?
Yeah, I was definitely looking for something that could be a kind of a through line for the story, and as I say in the movie world, a MacGuffin, something that's a thing that's, and I love the idea of this Egyptian, and I'm not sure how I stumbled on the Anubis, just in the research, I mean, thank God for Google,
Right.
just,
Yeah.
stuff just randomly, you just sit there for hours and the stuff comes up. But I was really, as soon as I discovered that this Anubis was the guardian of cemeteries and the guardian of the dead,
Yeah.
I was really interested in that idea and how that could apply to a morgue. And if this morgue was somehow connected to a cemetery where there was this Egyptian person buried in it. So it just kind of built off of that. And Ulysses is the kind of person who would embrace any kind of superstition or
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
yes, it's right up his alley.
Yeah.
So it just seemed to come together like that, and I just love the whole idea of something I don't think we've seen very much before. This, the Anubis is a famous mythological figure, but not one we've seen used in horror that often.
Right. Right.
I think that's something amazing about the career path that we have all chosen to take. No matter what project you're working on, you can learn something new basically every single day. We're also a film and television production company, so we got some stuff in the works, and we did a little fact checking on some certain like mythological things when it comes to ravens and things like that. And it's just so cool how you just get to learn all of this different stuff that you didn't know before, and to help you carry your series forward in that way, and how it like ties back to, like you said, the mythological stuff, or the stuff for the ancient text and all that good stuff. But I think
and all
it's
the stuff that you stumble on,
exactly
and you pull it out 5 years later.
exactly.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. And with us also being on the business side of things, how is the novel world different from the film and television world? How does all of that work? I'm very curious about that.
Well, it's definitely a learning curve, for sure. Really, it's the first time I've done it. We have Elysian Press as our publisher, and the publisher is a woman named Mayor Wilson, who's awesome, and it's been great to sort of be taken in under their wing. I had a lot to learn about just the process and how things get sold and how it works. And,
right.
Amazon does this, but Barnes and Noble does that. And,
it's very interesting.
Something that you never have to think about in the film or TV world. But I think the more important and certainly the more profound difference was just in the writing. And it's what I ended up loving about writing a novel, was that I could be free finally of the constraints of screenwriting, where you're constantly worried about the running time, how to be economic, and how do you just compress everything. And here in the novel, not that you want to have any wasted anything, but the idea that you could just take a little side trip down an alley over here,
right,
for the character's background,
right.
It's so much fun, and you can just invent all this funny stuff or scary stuff, whatever it was. We have our character Urson, who comes from Turkey,
right,
and to just invent this entire backstory for him as a grave robber in Turkey was so much fun, and something I really couldn't do in the script.
Right.
No one's got time for a 2-hour movie to do that.
Exactly.
No, and you do it brilliantly with all of the characters, though. From Urson and Otis and Angel and the detective and like everybody. There's that little excerpt where you go, here's why they are the way they are. And you go greatly into their backstory. And I loved that because, and then somehow interwove them all together, which I really enjoyed too. It's like, okay, you can see these paths crossing now that you know where they're coming from and why they're on this path that they're on now. You know why they're going to cross, which was brilliantly done. And also like what you had said about, Trevor brings it up about, why he likes doing what he does is because he can be somebody else, and he's learning new things and different things, and he can pretend to be anybody he wants to be for that brief moment in time and not have to be himself. I guess that is one of the cool things about acting, right? You do have to do some research. You do have to learn some stuff.
The poignancy in that, though, is that Trevor doesn't want to be himself.
Exactly.
And
yes.
That's why he wants to be an actor, because for X amount of time, I could be somebody else and not have to be me.
Yeah.
That's why the pandemic really hurt him, because he couldn't do that.
Well, and we should say that you referenced the pandemic wholeheartedly throughout. Jennifer's father is a victim of the pandemic, and which again, I feel like anybody that had gone through that, has dealt with some situation from that. So I thought that was a great point too, that's in the story and that's being dealt with in the story. I got to ask though, I mean, we have, because you got the little short film on the website and everything. Are we going to potentially see this thing? I mean, I think it's going to be a huge hit in the bookstores, no doubt. So we could possibly see it somewhere visually?
We are definitely planning on it. I'm already working on a script, and we'd love to see it happen. And I guess it'll partly depend how the novel does, I suppose. But
sure,
it would really be a dream come true, of course, to make that film. I'll keep you posted.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Even more reason to have you back on the show one day. Open invite anytime you want to come back on the podcast. We talk about the industry. We talk, the top 5 segment, which, this week is top 5 pump up songs. So, we like to have fun with it. We had a top 5 books before. Maybe we'll put yours on our top 5 now. I mean, come on.
For sure. For sure. It's up there for me, for sure.
Well, listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming to get a little crazy with us. We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun, and we were really thankful that this book fell in our laps, because it was an entertaining read that just got us away from screens for a while, and we can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. And I'm going to be telling everybody to read it. I mean, yeah, out and about today, I was like referencing it everywhere because, they're like, oh, who's this week's guest? And I was like, oh, hold on. You got to listen to this story. Like, he's a novelist now, and you got to listen to it. And I couldn't stop talking about the book. So I think it's going to do really. And I mean, there's a age gap here, the future son-in-law here, but there's an age gap here. And so the idea that the book felt so likable to both of us, that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to do really, really well with a broad audience. So congratulations. We hope to see more books.
Can I just stay on the show? Can I just stay here?
Yeah, no.
Oh, for sure.
That's it. You're the new co-host. I mean, you'll be with us every week. But seriously, congratulations.
Yes.
And we hope to see many more books. We hope to see many more films. And just like Logan said, open invite. Anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome. You just let us know, and you're always here. Tell everybody where they can find you, because it is a world of social media these days. So tell everybody where they can follow you.
I'm on Twitter at JThomasGray, Gray. Mm-hmm. I'm on Instagram as it's Bay Ridge without the I, BAYRDGE.
Okay.
And the website now is JohnGrayOfficial.com.
And can they order the book from the website, or can they Amazon? I'm guessing and stuff.
Yes, I mean we do link to Amazon and Barnes and Noble through the website, but they can just go right to either you can get a digital or print from either Barnes & Noble or
Fantastic.
Amazon.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, listen, thank you so much again. We can't thank you enough, to be honest. But take care and have a great rest of your night, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. I hope so. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Man, oh, man. That's a man full of knowledge there about all aspects of the entertainment industry.
Yeah. And again, though, like the determination, from 12.
Yeah.
I mean, that's knowing pretty early on. If you're not like, a child actor and you just know from 12 on, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you stay through it for all them years into adulthood before you get your first break. That's incredible.
It really is. And something that he said literally throughout the interview is fun. He was having fun, taking risks, like just trying different stuff. Never wrote a pilot before, wrote a pilot, never directed a pilot before, directed a pilot, and it just kept on going.
Yep.
So you got to be willing to learn things, take chances, and have fun. That's what it's all about. That's what this industry is all about.
And you can do it from wherever you're at.
Yes.
That's the other big thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're in Kansas or New York or wherever. If that's your dream, that's your passion, you can do it.
Exactly. Well, thank you again, Mr. Gray, for coming on the show.